Hi, I'm Jess and welcome back if you're new. Today we're going to be making chicken stroganoff. I've only made beef stroganoff before, never chicken, so I'm really excited about trying this one out. For this recipe, I really wanted to try a crock-pot meal because I'd been super busy for the week, and I just thought that it would be nice to be able to dump all the ingredients into a crock pot and just forget about it, to be honest. So this recipe did call for 16 ounces of mushrooms. I wash my mushrooms, that's just a preference. I know technically the way to clean a mushroom is with a pastry brush, but I wash mine. Also, I've only just started eating mushrooms, so I thought it would be best to chop them super small. However, I realized really quickly that this was going to take forever, so I grabbed my mini food processor and threw all of them in there to chop. This was so much faster and more convenient. Now to note, the first ingredient I did prep was mushrooms. However, I do want to let you know that I pulled my chicken out of the freezer actually the night before. The recipe calls for 6 boneless, skinless chicken thighs, but I actually used 2 chicken breasts since that's what I had in my freezer. I know that I'm one of the odd people who happens to like chicken breast over chicken thighs, but I think the recipe turned out just as good with the chicken breast as it would have with the chicken thighs. Then if you watched my hamburger helper video, I actually prepped a bunch of onions at that time. So I like to prep my onions at one time and then freeze them into little pucks. I just actually put them in ice cube trays and then freeze them. So this recipe called for 1 onion, so I just grabbed 4 of my little onion ice cubes to throw into the crock pot. Honestly, having them already prepped really helped on a busy day. So next, the recipe called for 6 cloves of garlic minced. Then for the liquids, the recipe calls for a half a cup of white wine and a half a cup of chicken broth. But if you don't want to use white wine, it just said to double up the chicken broth. I did have to open a brand new bottle of white wine for this recipe, so the extra wine I don't really drink, so I just poured it into ice cube trays and put it in my freezer so that I could just have some white wine ice cube pucks if I ever needed to pull them out to use them. So into the crock pot I put my 2 chicken breasts. Like I said, it did call for 6 skinless, boneless chicken thighs, but I had chicken breast in the freezer that I just let thaw out. I did cut the fat off of them, but honestly, these were not bad at all. So I added my onion ice cubes, then all of my garlic. Then I went ahead and added all the mushrooms that I had chopped. Finally, I added the chicken stock and the wine. Now it's time for the seasoning, so salt, pepper, just to your taste and your liking. And then it called for 2 tablespoons of that sauce that no one knows how to say, Worcestershire. That's the best I can do. And then 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Then I gave it a little stir to incorporate all the ingredients. And then finally I put the lid on and set the timer for 4 hours on high heat. Once it was time to eat, I went ahead and put a pot of water on the stove boiling. I did add a little bit of oil so my pasta would not stick, and then I placed my egg noodles into the boiling water. Then while the pasta was actually cooking, I went ahead to do this slurry mixture, like a roux, that we're supposed to put into the crock pot. So it was 1 cup of sour cream and 2 tablespoons of flour, and it just makes this really thick sauce. After I broke up the chicken just a little bit, I went ahead and added my sour cream flour mixture. And then finally, it was time to add the egg noodles. I mixed it all up and plated it. I will say this recipe was pretty simple to make. It was an easy cleanup as well. However, I do tend to like my meals to have a little bit more seasoning to them, so I did end up adding some Italian seasoning and red pepper flakes. I think I give this recipe a solid 7 out of 10. But if you're looking for other easy recipes, definitely try my hamburger helper recipe I found. It was delicious.